Hi, I'm Mary Jo from Steinbrinks Landscaping and Greenhouses, and it's August in the landscape, and this is the time of the year that we start to think about fall planting, what plants perform well in the landscape in the fall. And there's nothing better here that we find than ornamental grasses. This grass in particular is called Hamlin Dwarf Fountain Grass. It's one of the more popular grasses for smaller areas in the landscape. It's an earlier bloomer, and you can see these fluffy seed pods that are on top of it. What these will do eventually as the season goes on is they will turn real fluffy white. Gets about 2 to 3 foot tall, about the same spread. They do really well in border plantings, mass plantings you can see that we have around here. And it's just a really easy grass to use in the landscape. This grass in particular is one of my favorite grasses used for the landscape setting. It's one of our more popular ones. It's Carl Forster feather reed grass. And as you can see, it has a very stiff, upright, vertical element to the landscape. It has these beautiful wheat heads, flower seed heads that set on usually in July. And they will go all into the August, September, into the fall months. And I really like this plant because it is so erect. It's so up and down. It's kind of architectural in feature. And then the seed heads just add that extra element to the summer and the fall landscapes. It looks great in masses too. And this one in particular, it only gets about 3 to 4 foot tall and wide. And so you can use it in all different areas in the landscape. Down below, what we have here are some fall asters, and you can see they're not quite in bloom yet. It's the 1st of August, but here in another 3 weeks or so, they will be in full bloom with lavender blooms on them, and that'll extend the season into September, into October. This is another fun grass to use in the landscape. This is a type of miscanthus grass, and it's the variegated Japanese silvergrass. And you can tell that it's got this banding in the blades here, the vertical banding, where you have the green in the center and then the lighter white on the outsides. This is a really nice grass to use for height and color. It has kind of a fountainy shape to it. And this is a little bit later bloomer. It'll get about that 5 to 6 foot tall and wide. So if you have a larger landscape or a bigger area, the Japanese silvergrass is a fun one to use. This grass in particular has the horizontal banding on the blades. The dwarf zebra grass is just a super small version of the regular zebra grass. Regular zebra grass gets 6 to 8 foot tall with a very fountainy spread to it. This one in particular only gets 3 to 4 foot tall. So if you have a smaller planting bed or a smaller landscape, it does really well. And what I like about this grass is that it's a little bit earlier of a bloomer in September, and the blooms are actually kind of a purplish reddish color, and it's very attractive in the fall landscape. Another dwarf maiden grass would be this one back here, and this is just a dwarf version of your regular maiden grass, which looks like this. And this is the dwarf. You can see even in the containers, you can tell one's going to get larger than the other. This dwarf one in particular is called Adagio. And Adagio has a white banding in the center of the blade. Again, this one's a little bit earlier of a bloomer and has that real deep reddish to purplish bloom, and then it'll open to a white bloom as the fall progresses. And this one only gets about that 4 foot tall as well, whereas your regular maiden grass here tends to fountain out more and gets about that 6 foot tall and wide. This next grass we're going to feature is called the hardy pampas grass. It's really a type of Ravenna grass, but in Nebraska we call it the hardy pampas grass. It's the giants of the landscape. These are the largest grasses that you'll see growing in Nebraska. And the grass itself will get that 8 to 10 foot tall, and sometimes the plumes get 10 to 12 foot on top of it. But they're very large. They need a big area to grow. On the bottom, they'll have a big skirt that probably reaches out about as far as your arms will reach. And then all the way around, they'll have a big skirt on it. And then you have these very tall statuesque spikes on top of it with the white plumes. Again, this is the hardy pampas grass, and it is the largest grass that you'll be seeing growing in central Nebraska. Another great way to add late summer color and fall color to your landscape is with perennials. And I'm going to be highlighting a few of our fall perennials. These two in particular are varieties of sedum. The purple foliage sedum right here is called Cherry Tart, and it is getting ready to bloom, and it'll bloom these bright fuchsia blossoms on it. This one in particular is more of a lower to the ground or a ground cover sedum, and it not only gives you the great foliage color that it has here, but then when those blossoms come out, it just really brightens up an area. This one in particular is an autumn fire sedum. It's another derivative of the autumn joy, and I love this plant because before it starts to get its pink blossoms on it for the fall, it has these beautiful greeny chartreuse blossoms getting ready to open, and it reminds me a little bit of broccoli. But this is a very hardy plant that really adds a lot of color and a lot of texture to the fall and late summer landscape. The next perennial that we're going to feature here for the late summer and fall landscape color is echinacea. These are sometimes called coneflowers, and the echinacea species has hundreds of different varieties, and we're going to feature 3 of them here in particular. These are 3 of the newer varieties on the market that really do perform well in the late summer landscape. This one in particular is called Powwow Berry, and you can see it's a very uniform plant. The flowers in particular are a really pretty pink violet color with the nice orangey russet seed heads in the middle of them. And this is it's actually an improved version of just your regular echinacea, the regular purple coneflower. This one with the orange blossoms on it is kind of a mixed match called Cheyenne Spirit. Sometimes they're orange, sometimes they're pink, sometimes they're almost a reddish color. And the Cheyenne Spirit is a seed variety of echinacea that really performs well. It blooms always the first year in the landscape, and it's just another fun element for that late summer pop of color. And the last one here is a newer variety called Papaya. And you can see Papaya has kind of a double feature seed head on there, and then the petals are really drooping down, which really give it a nice effect. And the flower color itself is really just that hot papaya color. The first time I ever saw this in bloom was at Henry Dorley Zoo in Omaha. And I thought, well, we have to get that for our sales too. So don't miss out on all the different kinds of echinaceas that we have available here at Steinbrinks. Another great plant to use for late summer color into fall in the landscape is the black-eyed Susan, or the rudbeckia. This one in particular is called Goldstorum, which is a very hardy one to our area. It's a bright gold color with a dark brown eye. These are great native plants. Butterflies and bees love this plant. The birds love them after the season passes to eat the seed heads. And the rudbeckia is a great one to use in your late summer into fall landscape. It goes really well tie-in with this lavender shot of the Russian sage. This is a type of Perovskia, and the Russian sage in particular has the nice silver foliage on it with all these lavender spiky blooms. Butterflies love this plant. It performs the best in August, but then it will carry you on to a fall season. And the Atriplifolia, which is this one in particular, it's kind of the old-fashioned Russian sage, can get 3 to 4 foot tall and 3 to 4 foot wide, which is really the size of an average shrub. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck with one of these plants. If you don't have a lot of room in your landscape for quite that size of a plant, there is also a dwarf version of the Russian sage, which only gets about 2 by 2. That one in particular is called Little Spires, which performs just as well. It's just a smaller version of it. There are no better plants for the fall landscape than the fall blooming asters. These aster plants are very hardy perennial plants that add that late summer, early fall color to the landscape. they usually come in the best colors, the purples and then the dark lavenders or the pinks. And these plants here, it's kind of funny because I have a lot of customers coming in and they're asking me for those purple or blue mums. And really what they're seeing around town are asters. Asters are a hardier plant than a chrysanthemum, and they tend to bloom a little bit later into the season, so they're going to give you that pop of color. Here at Steinbrinks, we do grow a lot of different varieties of asters, and they are available for sale here coming into the fall months. Fall months. We're just starting to bring them up for retail sales, so we're going to have a great variety right away to choose from. So make sure you stop in and pick up some fall asters. We also have probably, I would say 30 to 40 different varieties of mums. And this is one example of one of the mums that we grow here at Steinbrinks. They're just starting to set their buds. This is early August right now, so it's a little bit early for the mums to start blooming, which you really don't want them to start blooming now, because this is a plant that's going to extend the season for you into the fall months. On these mums, we have early, mid, and late blooming varieties. We have different sizes to choose from, and there's no better plant to add that pop of color than the fall mum into your landscape. These also work wonderful in fall containers. We have a lot of customers come in and they switch out their containers, and there's no better plant than the fall mum to use for that. They come in all different colors like yellow, gold, orange, red, fuchsia, white, pink, and we have all the different varieties here for you to choose from. We do grow all of them here on site. So make sure you stop in and see our fall color of mums and asters. Here at Steinbrinks, we have a lot of different grasses, probably 20 different varieties growing for you to plant in your landscape. Now's the perfect time to get them established before fall sets in. And we have all of our grasses and perennials on sale, 25% off. So if you need to add late summer or fall color to the landscape, try one of these perennials that we featured here at Steinbrinks. We have hundreds of different varieties growing here. We grow everything right here on site, and all of our ornamental grasses and our perennial flowers are on sale right now, 25% off.